What's going on, you guys? Full here, and I'm back with another video. In today's video, I'll be doing an in-depth Elise jungle guide. Elise currently is a very strong jungler. She has great early pressure, she has great scuttle crab control, amazing dive potential as well with her repel. Overall, a solid champion. She's also AP, which not a lot of junglers are AP, so if your mid laner tends to like want to pick Talon mid lane or something, and the rest of her team can't really cover the AP, Elise is also great for that. So overall, just highly recommended champion. She is not too difficult to play, but she does have two sets of abilities, so it takes some getting used to for some people maybe. Yeah, anyway, let's just get right into the runes. Now, for the runes on Elise, it's pretty straightforward. Like, the only really good rune you want to go with is Electrocute as like a main keystone. There's really nothing else that works well because you're just gonna go for quick bursts on single targets. That's the way Elise like kind of works. You throw your Q, like you stun the target with your human E, then you Q W in human form on the target, and then you switch, and then pretty much as soon as you Q with your spider form, Electrocute's gonna proc, and with all the percentage HP damage combined with Electrocute, it's just gonna allow for a lot of burst. Now next up, you want to get Cheap Shot. This is like usually just the best one on Elise because you are gonna impair the movement on your enemy a lot. Like you just stun the target and then you get Cheap Shot for additional true damage. Just in general, it's a 4-second cooldown, so this will amount to a little bit more damage than Sudden Impact usually because this applies to your human interaction initially. So you don't have to actually go into spider form to get the Q off there to then get this. Now, Sudden Impact could be useful if you were to like only like use your W to the side, your human W to the side, and then jump with the Q in spider form, then Sudden Impact activates, and then that W will also hit, but it will never really work on your full combo, so Cheap Shot is then just a little bit more burst, like especially straight up. Because 45 true damage on a 4-second cooldown is pretty good, so every time you have your stun up, you can use Cheap Shot. It's like a guaranteed increase in damage. Now next up, it kind of depends on the elo you're in. Because if you're in low elo, then Eyeball Collection is probably the best one to go for because of the fact that no one places any wards. Like literally no one places any wards, so it kind of becomes a little annoying. So you can't really stack your zombie ward, but as soon as you get to the higher elos, zombie ward's always the best option because there's a lot more wards placed, and that means that you can clear more wards and have more wards, kind of. And this will also stack up your adaptive wards for that reason. So that's just the one. So high elo zombie ward, low elo, because there's no wards placed, Eyeball Collection. Now the rune here is Relentless Hunter because on Elise you mainly just want to roam speed. She has plenty of like damage and everything like that. You just need to be around the map as fast as you can to get the ganks, to get the counter ganks, and just get that movement speed. That's really what you're looking for. So Relentless Hunter is the best one. Now the secondary tree. It's kind of just, again, the same thing to kind of combine with this. You want the most movement speed you can get. So Celerity and Water Walking will get you the most movement speed. This is the way I really prefer to play my Elise. Just get as much movement speed as you can to run around the map a lot faster, to get to counter gank situations, or maybe like just to gank situations in general. So you just want to get there as fast as possible, and that's why you get Celerity and Water Walking. And then for the runes down here, it's just attack speed, some damage, and then armor or magic resist depending on your matchup. Usually armor because there's only really one other AP jungler that kind of is good, and that's Evelynn. So unless you're facing Evelynn, armor is probably the best option. I am gonna forget some champion here. That's probably another AP champion that really works really well in the jungle. Nidalee, yeah. So in those situations you can magic resist, but generally armor. So that's pretty much it for the runes. It's a very straightforward page. Just want to get burst damage from this, the vision control from Zombie Ward, and then the increased move speed to roam around the map faster from Celerity, Water Walking, and Relentless Hunter. If you guys have questions on this rune page or just anything rune related in general, put it in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer those questions for you. Let's just get right into the item build now. Alright, so for the item build on Elise, you want to go the Hunter's Machete and a refillable potion. The reason you want to go Hunter's Machete is because you're going to do a lot of auto attacking, so you can get a lot of extra damage from this. Also, the lifesteal is really nice to keep you sustained. You don't really need the mana sustain on Elise because, like, you don't really use that much mana, plus your spider form is free. So overall this will help you the most with your jungle clear. And as soon as you get to the blue buff anyway, your mana is going to be fine. You're not going to really lose any health because you can use your spiderlings to tank as well. So just increasing your jungle clear the most you can with Hunter's Machete is the best option. Now on your first recall, depending on how much gold you have, you kind of just want to build towards the runic echoes as fast as you can. This is just a like very cheap, very amazing AP jungle item. And however you want to get there is up to you. Usually I tend to, on the first base, go like Stalker's Blade Boots, because that's usually about the gold I back with, just barely under 1,000 gold. So 950 to 1,000 gold is when I get the Stalker's Blade Boots combination, because boots on Elise will, like as I mentioned earlier, you want to get that movement speed, you want to make sure you're around the map faster, and yeah, so early boots help a lot. Now after this, like just regular boots, it's kind of just build whatever you can from this. If you have the money for maybe like this or that, or have like the full runic echoes completed, you just want to get there as fast as possible whilst having regular boots. That's just the way like I really like to play it with the Relentless Hunter and the celerity and water walking. You have more than enough move speed to just run around. And yeah, now for the boots upgrade, I go Strix because of the way my runes are set up with celerity, water walking, and Relentless Hunter. You can also go mobility boots if you maybe like a different rune setup, but like mobility boots will be good for just in general more roaming. But I find that mobility boots are great for that, and that's nice and all, but you will lose a lot of damage not going for the 18 magic pen on this, because magic penetration scales really well with Elise for base damage. So overall, this is just going to give you way more one-shot potential and make you way scarier to 1v1. And already Sork Boots combined with Relentless Hunter, Celerity, and Water Walking are going to give you more than enough roam speed, so you don't need mobility boots at all. It's better to just get the damage here because this improves your 1v1 potential, and that will make it a lot scarier for any jungler to try to do anything against you, or just like improve the damage on your ganks. So just to get that out of the way, you just get Sorks because of the damage. Relentless Hunter and Celerity Water Walking would give you more than enough move speed to run around the map. If you, however, prefer mobility boots on Elise and think that's the playstyle you want to go with, then by all means, it's not bad. It just gives you less damage in just straight 1v1s early game. So the 18 magic pen is the difference there. Now, moving on to the next core item setup. It's a pretty straightforward build on Elise. There are two variations you could go with if you want. One is a more very hard carry style, which you could do in the lower elos, which I would recommend a little more in the lower elos, because it just outputs more damage, or just more consistent damage. So for that reason, that would be better there. If you're in the higher elos, just having straight burst on specific targets, you have more of a team you can kind of rely on, I suppose. And it gives little less damage output on objectives like barons and such. So in the higher elos, if you have the teams to back you up, it's easier to just go for a straight magic penetration damage build, which is straight up rushing the Morellonomicon with this setup right here. It's going to give you an insane amount of magic pen, also the healing reduction, make you a little bit more tankier. And then you can go for Zonias into maybe Void Staff Deathcap, and that's just a straight build setup right there. It's a very straight up build. You can, of course, if you need more magic resist, put in a Banshees instead of a Void Staff or a Deathcap or something like that, because your base damage is already pretty damn good. So that would work too. But it's a pretty linear setup like this, and yeah, pretty straightforward, nothing much to change there. Now for the other build, the more scaling damage build, you want to go to Leandery's Royalized combination. This will work, you want to get through Leandery's first because of the fact that it works well with your stun. You're going to CC them, so Leandery's going to give additional burn damage to that as well. Now the great combination of this item, or these two items, is that it gives really good Baron and just objective control in general. So Barons, Dragons, a Rift Herald, anything like that. Well, this is probably going to be too late for a Rift Herald. If you get this on Rift Herald, then props to you, you're very fed. But on Baron, this is pretty much Elise can just one-shot the Baron. If someone tanks the Baron for Elise at this point, it's just Baron is gone in maybe 10 seconds. Because of the fact that the Spiderlings proc this so many times that it just burns the Baron down really quickly. So for that reason, this is why I prefer to do this in lower elos. If I play Elise in lower games, I tend to go with this build, and then you go for magic penetration with this setup. So you will have the build of the jungle item, boots, and then just these 2 items with the void staff. And you can follow this up with a death cap if you think you're safe enough to not get killed really easily, but you can also just get a Zonias because you don't really need the ability power or like the massive amount of ability power in this specific setup, because your damage is going to come from this combination with your spiderlings. So it's more of a consistent burn damage strategy. Now this strategy will also work pretty well into tanks, like better into tanks because it burns tanks down faster. But since Elise does have like HP scaling damage, this will still work more than fine into tanks as well, so there's really no issue there. So yeah, that's pretty much the build for Elise. If you guys have any questions on this build or just anything to note, put it in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer those questions for you. And hope you guys enjoyed this video so far. If you did, make sure to hit the like button as well, subscribe for more content, and let's just get right into the gameplay section now. Alright, welcome to the gameplay section of this guide. As you can see, I am playing Elise, of course, into a Lee Sin. Classic early game matchup, which Elise does have the advantage in because she can stun the Lee Sin out of his Q. Plus, she has more burst damage straight up early on. Elise is one of those champions that in the early game you kind of just win every matchup just because of the amount of damage you have. So you can quite easily go to contest scuttle crabs, and she's also really good at diving turrets early because of her repel. So yeah. Now just a standard early game. Wait, before anything else happens, let me just make sure the vision is set to only red side, so we see it from my perspective. So I'm just always kind of standing here just waiting for the potential ward to be placed down, which they did in this case. In the higher elo games, people are just going to try to ward like right there. This will allow them to know where your jungle pathing is going. So if, let's say, like for that reason, I walked into this brush this way. So this means that I could still potentially go bot side to blue buff, but I am just going to start red buff anyway. So you kind of have to play a little bit of mind games with these types of wards. So if they put it down and they spot you, just try to, in their vision, walk towards like here, for example, not just up. Because if you walk like that, then they're going to know that you're just going to be starting red. And Lee Sin might pull something fancy, like starting his own red and then just invading my blue, which honestly against Elise isn't the smartest thing to do, but you can get away with it if you actually for sure know where they're starting. So that's the reason why I'm doing it and why I walked around to go to my red like this. I'm just going to try to avoid that ward from now on, so I just start red and then walk around the ward. I don't want to do raptors on Elise anyway because it's a really, really bad camp for me to do. Now, I do pick up the Krugs here because it's just a lot of experience and you can do it pretty quickly. Just have to make sure that you kill all this like small ones and then group the small ones together like this and just throw one W spider. I did it a little bit too early there, so I didn't kill them all in one go, but it's a pretty efficient camp. It doesn't take a whole lot of time, and right here I just path around the ward. Now sure, I could have walked like this way, but I just decided to walk around for some reason. Maybe it was auto pathing, I'm not too sure why I walked around, but yeah. You can easily just walk this way, just as long as you avoid this ward. If they place it here, of course, then you kind of are out of options. You have to walk all the way around, but yeah, just make sure you avoid walking like this, because that will spot you on the ward, and that will give away your jungle pathing like pretty much for free. So at this point, Lee Sin still hasn't seen me on the map yet, or he shouldn't have, unless they place like a ward here or something, which I don't know about. But yeah, just avoiding that ward is pretty essential. Now the main thing you want to clear for on Elise is your level 3 as fast as possible, which you will hit off your wolf camp like this. And as soon as you hit level 3 on Elise, you are very strong because you have just insane burst damage, and it's very hard to contest you because you also have the stun in your kit and like the double ability bar pretty much. So you have a Q, W in human form, and then also in spider form you have the extra damage there. So you have like 4 abilities compared to the enemies like maybe 3 or so, and then you also have the stun. Now my Quiana, I pinged for the Quiana to move, or just for my lanes to move to the bot side scuttle in general, because I knew that Lee Sin was just trying to contest it since I hit the plant. So I saw the Lee Sin, my Quiana and my Nolus reacted really quickly, which is very good. This is what you're going to see in higher elos in general. In lower elos, you might not see people react to like Scuttle Crab plays, but yeah, that's a little bit rough because Scuttle Crab is a very good thing to contest. And if you can get both, which in this situation now I can, because I'm level 4, Lee Sin is level 3, and I'm Elise, he's never going to try to contest me on the second scuttle, so I just run straight through mid lane. My Quiana is here to back me up as well, and then I pick up the second Scuttle Crab. Now at this point I am getting kind of closed in, so I just stun the Mordekaiser, run past his like pullback and just like walk away. Now at this point in the game, if you did the clear I did, which is red into Krugs, Krugs is gonna spawn at about 4:30-ish, or it should. So keep that in mind, because it's very important to pick up the second rotation of Krugs. The first rotation of Krugs is nerfed experience-wise, so you're gonna get a little bit less experience from the first camp, but as soon as you clear it, then the next camp on respawn, it's gonna be worth a lot of experience every single time. So as you can see, I'm about 4.5 now in experience, and my Krug camp just respawned at about 4:30, so I'm just gonna do this really quickly. I haven't cleared my Raptor camp yet, but then like this is still a level 1 camp, so this is not gonna be worth that much. So for that reason, I am just gonna go ahead and probably invest my money right now. Yeah, just recall right there, invest the money I have. And now my camps are respawning from, like Wolves are respawning, and Gromp will also respawn soon. So all I have to do now is path towards my Gromp, or like towards my bot side. And then from here on out, I could maybe look for a bot play or something like that, or maybe a mid gank, and I can just use the clear from Gromp. So Wolves to Raptors, this is going to be not worth too much, but it's a pretty bad camp for Elise to clear without like any levels or items. And then my Krug camps will respawn. That will give me another big boost in experience, because right now after the Krug camp I am about like level 5, so it gave me like over half a level pretty much in experience. So that's a very efficient thing to remember if you're doing those, like that type of pathing. You have to remember to keep your Krugs on cooldown as much as possible, because they're worth a lot of experience. And if you do it efficiently enough on Elise, like killing the big camp first and then just killing the 3 like bigger units first, and then just using 1 W to clear the rest, it's not going to take you that much time. It's a pretty efficient clear, since Elise does have quite a lot of burst damage to single targets. As you can see, Gromp pretty much instantly disappears. I did use Smite there. Now here there's a play going around bot lane, so I instantly move there with Qiyana. Stand in this brush because there's a control ward in it. Lee Sin paths here. Qiyana like hits the ultimate into the wall. I hit my stun. Lee Sin instantly dies. And at this point, I kind of just want to look for Dragon. But the only problem in this situation is, well, Lee Sin died, right? But I kind of didn't think about the fact that it's still very early game, so his respawn timer is like 9 seconds or something. So I don't have Smite yet. The Dragon did reset here, which was like very unfortunate, because if it didn't reset, Lee Sin would never have been able to get the Q off on the Dragon, and then he would not have been able to Smite steal it. But because the Dragon reset for some reason, as you can see, I'll just go back one more time. Like, it doesn't have an aggro bar, so I'm not sure why it reset. Like right here, I think the moment Nautilus hit it, it just reset or something. So yeah, it just reset. Lee Sin gets the Q off. He gets the like Smite because I didn't have it yet. Mine was still on like a 5-second cooldown maybe. So that was a really unfortunate Dragon that like we gave up because the Dragon reset, which was a little random. Now Akali walks up a little too far. I just walk behind her and like she kind of dies. It's like Elise, like I could have chased this, by the way, just so you guys know. Like Elise is very good at turret diving, right? So the Akali right here, she flashes my stun, which she has to do, because if she doesn't flash it, she's guaranteed to die. So I then blue smite her here, since I didn't have to smite the Dragon. I slow her down. I get the electrocute proc, I get the damage on her, and like right there, Qiyana gets the final hit. I could have easily tanked like maybe 4 or 5 more hits and then repel on this wave that was just here, because the wave just came here, and you instantly drop turret aggro when you press repel. Repel is the E in Elise's spider form, by the way. So you instantly drop turret aggro and then you can just walk away. So if the wave is about here, Nautilus is about right there. I could have chased this Akali for like 3 to 4 more auto attacks to 3 to 4 more turret hits even. And when it gets a little too close to me dying, I can just press repel, jump on the furthest minion, and get out. So that's a very important thing on Elise to remember. It really helps you in turret diving. Like, for example, top laners, you can easily turret dive them at level 3 because of the fact that you can just start the engage, hit a stun, and then you get turret aggro. You just do as much damage as you can, which on Elise with percentage HP damage is quite a lot of damage, so it's a very effective way to do it. And then your top laner can follow it up with as much damage as he can whilst you tank turret, and then as soon as you get too low to tank the turret, you drop the aggro with your repel, and then your top laner can take maybe 1 or 2 more hits, but by that time the target should have died. So that's a very important thing there. I just push this wave out. I am gonna have enough money soon for my AP jungle item. I think I'm gonna go and clear red here and maybe reset. Yeah, there it is. I get my AP jungle item, get enough gold for it, and I can just like go from the bot side up in my clear. I missed the kill on Akali with like 1 health there, I think. Right, so we see the Akali right here. I was initially planning to move towards bot side because there was a play going on here with Lee Sin and everything, but we saw the Akali in the river. Qiyana hits the ult, I hit the stun. We didn't CC chain properly because like Quiana got the ult off, then it stunned her, and right the second Quiana stun landed, my stun landed, so I should have waited a little bit. So if I just waited with my stun for like maybe a half a second or a second longer, that Akali would have been stunned longer and would have taken damage, like enough damage to die. Alright, here I can just clear my camps all the way up. Unless I decide to, actually I decide to go for a bot lane gank. Yeah, okay, there's a control ward in this brush right here. If this is control warded, then you can easily just stand in this brush and wait for the enemy to walk up like too close. Nautilus can easily bait this as well by just kind of standing here and kind of forcing them to poke him. So as you can see right here, I'm kind of just waiting for an opportunity where my Nautilus, like for example there, he could have hooked him. Like right here, he could have hooked him. I don't know, I'm not sure why he didn't just go for the engage on Tahm Kench, because like he had a couple of opportunities to just hook him on the side right here. Yeah, he didn't go for the hook, so I was like, alright, well then I guess that will not happen. If he just hooked the Tahm Kench one of those times, he would have died, because there's no way he can do anything. I mean, Tahm Kench does have cleanse, which is a pretty smart move, let's be honest here, because he wants to save his Varus, so if he can eat all the CC and cleanse out of it and then just eat Varus, then like both of the targets can't really get CC down effectively, even though we do have too much CC for just one cleanse. So yeah, kind of a little bit of a time waste there. I had to hold mid lane to make sure they don't get too much turrets, like turret platings. Alright, here I just have to make sure that I keep my camps. Now, in this case, I couldn't go for the Krug camp anymore, even though I do really want to clear this for a lot of experience. The dragon is spawning, and you have to be sure that you are around this dragon, have a control ward for that dragon. And with the lead we have right now, we should easily be able to pick this up. I now also do have my smite, so the chances of Lee Sin actually stealing this is pretty much non-existent. Even though he's one level higher than me, just because he probably got another clear on like a couple camps. And he did another rotation of the Krug camp, which is going to give you a lot of experience, which I don't have. The only thing with it is Elise's Spider Form Q does missing HP damage. Now, of course, it's capped against monsters, but it's still pretty damn difficult to actually outsmite an Elise that way, because it's a guaranteed extra like amount of damage. Lee Sin tries to go for the smite here, doesn't get it because my like smite was just on point. And with the smite combo, by the way, if you do the combo, you want to press Q first on Spider Form, and then instantly press smite like maybe half a second, not instantly, just half a second after. You just want to wait for your like spider to jump up, and as soon as you jump up, then you can press smite, because then the smite and the Q damage are going to hit at the exact same time, and that's going to be the way to kind of make sure that you don't get smited, like smite stealed on, because that's a pretty terrible feeling. Can confirm. We can't really do the Rift Herald right now since I'm pretty low, and they are like in a pretty good position to reset here. The Caitlyn gets caught out as well, which actually I don't know how she died. Oh, she died bot lane 2v1. Alright, yeah, she's a little too far up. Oh, she gets teleported on. Okay, sure. So she gets caught out in this situation, and this means that like yeah, they can pressure in bot lane as well, which is not great. I was waiting for him to maybe go and clear this pink ward or put a ward down, but he did it from a good distance, so there's really not much for me to do. I could have tried to stun him. Now, the good thing about Elise into Mordekaiser is, which I'm sure you'll see in a second here, because he's going to go for this control ward. So right here, you got to take note of this. So I stun him right now, and I try to chunk him for as much damage as possible. Hit the human Q. I'm not sure where my spider was. Might have still been on cooldown. Wait. Okay, I switch. I use the spider to clear all the small ones, so I don't have it up right now. Okay, cool. So I stun him here. I just hit him with that, and just hit him with as much burst damage. And as soon as I see the animation of Mordekaiser ultimate, I instantly press my repel, because that means he will not be able to put me in his like box, and like he will win the 1v1 against me most likely, since I just used my entire burst rotation on him. And the repel will cancel out his ultimate. So as soon as you see him put his axe forward, you instantly just repel, and then that way you can avoid like putting him in, like getting put in a box. Now Lee Sin makes a really nice like kick play there with his Warthog flash kick, so that's pretty good. In this situation we have the Akali and Lee Sin here. I just instantly stun the Akali, and I just kind of want the Quiana to back off, which he does, which is very good. At this point I have 1800 gold, so this is going to mean that I can get my Magic Pen boots with a lot of extra damage. Now they do get the Rift Herald off that play though, sadly, but there's not much to be done about it. They instantly want to look towards a top play. The Caitlyn gets the solo kill, in that situation. Does die to the Lee Sin sadly, but in this case, like, the Tahm Kench is pretty much just a free kill. Nautilus goes in. Tahm Kench can pretty much try whatever he wants. He gets a little too far out. I just repel on him and he's dead. So that pretty much stops the top push, and at this point we can pick up the turret. Now, as you can see, I am still keeping up, even though I am like putting a lot of pressure on the map gank-wise. I'm still gonna keep up in CS as much as possible. If you try to path your jungle as efficiently as you can, so really think about like respawn timers and when you actually cleared them, and then look at the way you can actually just path through your jungle to get the most efficient way to get most of your camps. You're going to be able to keep up your experience lead, because keeping up an experience lead on a jungler is extremely important. Like, the most important role to have the most experience on is jungle, because of the fact that you put pressure on the entire map. If you, for example, were to funnel a lot of experience into your jungler in like a given game, then the chances of you actually just winning straight up in objectives, in just like fights everywhere across the map, are extremely high, because you have a higher smite value on objectives, and then also you have a higher level, which means more base stats when it comes to skirmishes. And since the jungler is pretty much always there in every single skirmish, then that's just really, really good. This is also why, as laners, for example, or as a jungler yourself, you have to make sure that as soon as a gank goes well, just push the wave as fast as possible and try to get your jungler some experience. Like, if you can get your jungler more experience, it just increases the chances of you actually winning the game if your jungler is competent. Because if your jungler actually knows how to play, you can really snowball a lead as a jungler with just a level lead. Now, this is a very unfortunate flash. I do remember this. Scarred for life, by the way. Now, right here. Initially, this fight, Urgot's recalling right there, so I see this. I'm currently setting this, like clearing this camp. I see the Urgot getting engaged upon. Then, right here, I just stun the Lee Sin whilst they come in. Then right here the Tahm Kench eats the Varus, so we just burst the Tahm Kench down with Elise burst. I dodged the snare from the Varus ultimate with my repel. Now in this situation here, as you can see, my stun is about to come up. So my initial plan, I'm a little bit too far away from the wall, as you can see. If I just put one step further, I could have flashed over this wall, stun maybe the Varus or the Lee Sin, and I would have been able to kill them pretty easily. But because I failed my flash, well, he just kind of gets out. I mean, it is what it is. A fail flash happens. There's really, like, well, there is something you can do about it, but yeah. Now here, vision is very important. As you can see, like, getting the vision control and just keep buying control wards. Like, for example, here, Mordekaiser face checks a control ward. I stun him. Nautilus hooks him. My QW does a shit ton of damage to him and he just instantly dies. Like, Elise burst with double magic pen items is just insane. Like, you pretty much get through damage on maximum HP scaling damage, so that's really, really good. Right here, making sure that I create the pressure check with spiderlings. That's also a very important thing to do. Never in the world ever face check a brush with Elise. Like, if you do that, you're pretty much just inting. All you have to do on Elise, which is just straight up what I do right here in a second. So right here, I don't have vision in that brush, right? So all I do is just send my W into it. As you can see, the W creates the vision, so I know, okay, there's, like, you can see them walking there, there's no one in that brush. If I were to, for example, face check that, I would have been dead instantly, probably, because this might be warded, and then I face check it, I get CC'd down and die. So always make sure to use your W to scout brushes in every single situation. It doesn't matter what you do with your W, because let's say I walk right here, right? I throw my W into this brush to see if no one's there, or maybe in that brush, and then the fight erupts here. All I have to do is throw my stun on the fight, if this would be warded, or like if he jumps out of the brush right here. Throw the stun, throw the human Q, and then instantly switch to the spider form. The moment you Q on your spider form, so you actually do like your spider form Q, the W will jump to the target anyway, so it doesn't really matter where you place it. It's always going to hit the target if you Q something in spider form. So you might as well use it to scout brushes, or just put it to the side so it doesn't like walk into mains or something, because that's just a very, very good like tactic to remember on Elise. And I'm recalling right here, maybe Akali walks up a little bit. I could like try to hit a stun, but she was not going to do that, so hey. Alright, here I'm making sure to just get the scuttle, push the mid wave in, so we can create Baron pressure with that. Get the vision control in the enemy jungle right here as much as possible. Again, keep throwing my spiderlings or my W human form to kind of poke and maybe get some pressure here and there. Again, right there, as you can see, just me doing it, I guess. I use my W. I'm kind of walking into it with the W at the same time. But in this situation, I knew Mordekaiser was kind of low and I knew he was going to walk through the brush. So I'm just going to use the W just anyway. I was a little bit too fast for my W, so it wouldn't check it first. But it doesn't really matter in that situation specifically. Here the dragon's about to spawn. You see me instantly put that control ward down because it's just going to create the effect of just like knowing if there's vision on it. So you know if like the enemy knows you're doing it or not. And that's why as a jungler having control wards constantly is a very important thing. So you can sneak maybe a dragon in or do the Baron or the Rift Herald or anything like that because control wards are just really good. Now also control wards will help you a lot in gank situations. So let's say your sweeper is down. You can put your control ward in a brush that you're ganking through to see if they have vision or not. If they have vision, you clear the vision and you just kind of just walk away and create pressure that way anyway. Alright, here we get the dragon. I don't think they're going to go for Baron instantly, so I'm kind of just focusing on farming the rest of the gold up that I need for my Zonias at this point. Pretty much a full clear should get me there. Now Caitlyn unfortunately does pick up my Raptor camp in this situation, so I have to run down to the Scuttle to clear it really quickly to get enough gold off of the final camp here to pick up a Zonias. I really want to pick up the Zonias because it's a very, very nice power spike, because you will be able to dive in a lot easier and then press Zonias and have repel as well to get in and out of fights. Now right there, I just use the W again to scout the brush. It's a very important thing to have to remember, especially in the later stages of the game, because getting face check once and getting killed like that is really not ideal. Again, W to check the brush, and then as soon as the Lee Sin, this is also why I'd like the Elise and Lee Sin matchup is Elise's favorite. Because as soon as the Lee Sin kind of like lands a Q on you, you have a pretty much guaranteed hit on your stun. So he just uses Q, he flies towards you like that. Like no matter if he's gonna go and ward jump behind you or anything, he's gonna fly towards you first. So as soon as he follows the Q and you see it, you instantly throw a stun. Of course, the Lee Sin is an absolute god and just like places a ward to the side and flashes behind you or something, then respect to him. But pretty much most of the time it's gonna be a guaranteed stun. And right off that play, we can get a Baron pretty easily. And my team actually wants to follow this through first. Elise has a lot of Baron damage. Like your spiderlings deal a serious amount of damage. As you can see, the burn on this. Like of course, Caitlyn auto attacks do a good amount as well with the items she has, right? But as you can see, like the small burn before every big hit, that's pretty much Elise damage. So the big hits every Caitlyn auto attack, of course, and then the small burn at the same time is Elise damage, and that actually stacks up quite a significant amount. Now pick up the blasting one and another 2 control wards. Control wards very important, so you have to make sure you keep picking those up. Now at this point we can quite easily just siege the mid lane. Nautilus gets a good hook, I get the stun. Now the Tahm Kench does have the cleanse, so it kind of survives that a little bit. Caitlyn is in a sticky situation. I'm trying to stun the Akali right there, and I'm just gonna stand my distance because I don't want to be in the same vicinity as Caitlyn and Nautilus in that situation, because then Akali can hit me as well. With like her Q damage, it's gonna be AoE damage. So I kind of just stand back a little bit more. There's really no way for me to engage, so I just use my human abilities as much as possible to kind of stun the Akali and throw a W into her shroud to maybe hit her for a good amount of damage. Now, since the entire team is dead, like we just kind of back out. We get the inhib, we can walk away. We can go and pick up a dragon here, which the team does. And then right now, just gotta go and use the Baron towards top side. In this case, right there, Lee Sin kind of just walks up too far with Akali, so the team pushes top lane, and I just push the mid lane in with Baron. Now, I believe Urgot died bot 1v1 to the Mordekaiser, which isn't great. But right here, just throwing my W out pretty much on cooldown in like later stages of team fights is very good, because if it just happens to connect, or if it like follows like an AD carry or something, that can easily be like half their health bar. Especially if you are doing pretty well on Elise and capture like level advantage going, slash farm going, have a couple kills assist, then you're going to do a significant amount of damage with just your W. As you can see, like right here, I'm just using my stun, my abilities in the backline a little bit more, looking for a situation that I could dive in. The Caitlyn is going up. I'm at this point just covering for my Caitlyn. She's gonna do a lot of damage. Elise isn't the greatest team fighter later in the game, like this types of stages. So just peeling for your AD carry with stuns, and then if like some tank jumps on her, which usually like a top laner or like a jungler, that try to pick off the AD carry are more tanky. So you can easily just like stun that target, QW, and then switch forms, hit him with another Q, and that target's gonna lose most of their HP whilst being stunned. So just being behind your Caitlyn like that is really effective. Now right here I land the like burst. Caitlyn wanted the quadra kill, I suppose, so she just inted on the Nexus, which honestly, I mean, happens, I guess. At this point I was kind of trying to bait the Akali in. I still have my Zhonya's up, so if the Akali wants to try to go for me, I can just bait her in a little bit and press Zhonya's and maybe have my team follow that up. But yeah, she kind of just ran it down and we end the game off that. So on Elise, it's very important to just play the early game. Like, you have a lot of early game damage. You can easily get double scuttles if you like run into the enemy jungler on a scuttle. So if the jungler decides to clear with you, then that's pretty much a mistake, because they give up the scuttle instantly, because you're never going to lose a 1v1 situation as Elise early game. Always make sure you check the brushes with your W, and remember that turret diving on Elise is a very effective thing to do. So if the enemy top laner, for example, is under the turret and he's getting a little low, then you can easily just run through that turret. Make sure you use everything you have, take turret aggro, and then as soon as you can't take any more damage, you repel to drop the turret aggro to your like ally, and then that's good. So yeah, that's pretty much Elise. She like great early game champion. Mid game she's still pretty strong. Late game she kind of falls off when it comes to the team fight stage. You can still do a lot when it comes to peeling for your AD carry with stuns, or maybe getting a stun engage on something, but apart from that, it's mainly just early game champions. So yeah. So anyway, if you guys have enjoyed this guide, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Also suggest other guides in the future. If you have questions about like Elise in general, put that in comments. I'll do my best to answer those questions for you. And yeah, see you guys in the next video. Bye.